Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our evening Sabbath class, uh, 4th of December, 2021. Um, I'm going to kind of pick up on what the conversation was this morning, shine a light on George Soros, for the people that don't know him, and the role in Belton initiative. So I got some more information with that. Asking everybody to like, share, subscribe to the Prophets of Awakening channel, and hit the notification button if you can. This is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament, and the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai by our Savior and our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. So shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, to our evening Sabbath class. We're going to do our moment of silence, evening prayer, and then we're going to do a Psalms and go into the current event. Okay. This moment of silence is for Yahweh, our Creator, and Lord of Hosts, his Redeemer. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face, and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David and Solomon, Samuel and Hezekiah did. That we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between the good and the bad. And for you possess that power to turn us and guide us. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments, the testimony, statutes with all our heart and soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, O Lord, and do, O Lord. Hide not thy face from us, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be on you. Okay, I'm going to read the Psalms. I'm going to read Psalms 53. It's the foolishness of men. This is a Psalm of David. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. Corrupt are they, and have done abominable iniquities. There is none that doeth good. God looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand, that did seek God. Every one of them is gone back. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Have the workers of iniquity no knowledge, who eat up people as they eat bread. They have not called upon God. There were they in great fear, where no fear was. For God hath scattered the bones of him that encamped against thee. Thou hast put them to shame, because God hath despised them. Oh, that the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion, when the God bringeth back the captivity of his people. Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. So that's Psalms 53. It's the foolishness of men. So any comments on that song? Anybody got anything? Okay, yeah, I want to shine a light on something right quick. Uh, it says, uh, it's David's prayer, right? And when David wrote the song, David's righteous. You got righteous Israelites all over the place. But let's look at what the psalm is saying. This is another thing they've done to us too. The fool have said in his heart, there is no God. Corrupt are they. They have done abominable iniquities. There is none that doeth good. He's talking about the Gentiles. That's what he's talking about. The Gentiles and the heathen. He's talking about the Israelites. So when you're reading this right, you see what what they've done in the New Testament. So we keep going. God looked down from heaven. So go back to Melchizedek and who that was. Enoch and all them. They was teaching these Gentiles, so they know They know the ways in the Most High, but they chose not to do it. So we see it's right here. 2. God looked down from heaven upon the children of men. These the heathen and the Gentiles. He ain't talking about Israelites. To see if there were any that did understand and that did seek God. So we know the Israelites, David himself, when he wrote this, he already seeking God. So we know he's not Israelites. So he says, 3. Every one of them, see that the Gentiles and heathen, every one of them is gone back from what Melchizedek and that order taught them. They are all together become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Then 4, have the workers of iniquity no knowledge. See that? It's the Gentiles, the workers of iniquity, who eat up my people. See that? Eat up the Israelites as they eat bread. They have not called upon God. There were they in great fear, where no fear was. For God hath scattered the bones of him that encamped against thee. See that? These Gentiles that encamped against David, right? Thou hast put them to shame because God hath despised them. See that? So they don't want you to get the understanding of that because he despised the Gentiles. And the way in hell he brought them in, he despised them. And we know that David said that he hate, his soul will hate the wicked and the lame and the blind. So anyway, so he says right here, verse 5, there were they in great fear, where no fear was, for God hath scattered the bones of him that encamped against David. Thou hast put them to shame because God despised them. See that? 6, oh, that the salvation of Israel. See? Oh, that the salvation. All this up here, he been talking about Gentiles and heathens. In verse 6, oh, that the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion when God bringeth back the captivity of his people, as Israel. Jacob shall rejoice and Israel shall be glad. Any comments?
Well, the descendants of those Gentiles, neither do they believe in God.
Right, exactly.
So they foolish as well.
Right. They all they done was create, stuck their God in there, and they worshiping their God, in the New Testament. That's what they're doing. Okay. So with that being said, that was Psalms 53, the foolishness of men. Okay. So we're gonna go to current events. Anybody got any current events? Okay. Yeah, I had played that little prophecy that the guy Uber Angel had prophesied about Kamala Harris, supposedly in January, but that she's gonna be the first female president. That something gonna go down with Obama. Well, play this right here real quick. And it says something going on with that. Do you see that? Do y'all see
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Said Harris faces staff exodus as questions on her leadership style emerge. This is a sinking ship. So it says reports of a toxic work environment have plagued Vice President Kamala Harris since she took up the post less than a year ago and recently announced exits of her chief spokesman has only prompted more questions. White House said this week that senior advisors to the vice president and chief spokesman Simone Sanders will be departing the vice president's office by the year's end. There's some say Kamala Harris's staffers leaving White House in part because they fear being labeled Harris persons or a Harris person. Says, I love Simone and I can't wait to see what she will do next. And I know that it's been a it's been 3 years of a lot of jumping on and off planes and going around the country, and she works very hard, and I can't wait to see what she will do next. I mean, that sincerely, Harris told reporters this week. But the vice president declined to come in when she was pressed on whether Sanders' departure was part of a a great internal shakeup. Well, I told you how I feel about Simone. Next question, I say, for the news contributor Joe Concha on Saturday called Harris' office a sinking ship during the commentary on Sanders' departure. So something going on with that, you know. It's gonna come out before it's over. Anybody got any comments on it? Anybody else heard anything? Okay, so yeah. So let me get to next. Okay. What I got next is I mean I had talked about it, so what I want to do is bring it up right here. So I don't know if anybody seen this before or not, but I want to show it to you. Here you go, right here. Can you see that?
Yes, we see that.
Okay, so what it is just the real Christmas, the real origins of Christmas. So I'm gonna play it, and like I said before, you have no idea how abominable all these things that he concocted in the New Testament is.
Around December 25th, the people celebrated the winter solstice. And so the winter solstice would come about somewhere from December 21st all the way to around January 6th or so. And so the people of the North would celebrate different holidays, have different occasions based upon the winter solstice. In the wintertime, there is a period where there is no light. You are literally in darkness 24 hours of the day. And this stretches for a period of time. Now, could you imagine if you're living in Alaska, or living in Canada, or living in Norway, and you don't have central heating? And the cold is outside. It's darkness around you. People are dying from disease. It's a terrible time, and every family would probably lose somebody, or they would know of somebody dying from the cold and disease during that season. This is the winter solstice. And so when the sun starts to come out, the people now are looking at the sun as a life-giving force. And so during that time, a number of ceremonies were held in northern countries. In the far north was the Feast of the 12 Nights, which stretched from December 25th to January 6th. Also in ancient Greece, there was the Bacchanalia, which was held for their god Bacchus, the god of wine and sport and play. The Romans had the Saturnalia for their god Saturn, their main sun god Saturn. And so you find during these times that the people held ceremonies in the north. They would burn bonfires. The light was important, the fire, because the fire represents the light, the life-giving force for those who worship nature. Also in the north, they recognized that there was one tree that despite the cold would still remain alive, the evergreen tree, the fir tree. And so in some cases, they would take this fir tree, believing that there was powers of life within the tree, and they would put it in their homes, set it there and put a light on the top of it, or burn them in the front, or they would make mistletoes and put them over their doorways, a type of what we would call ta'wiz or tamima. It is an amulet. And they would hang the amulet over their doors, hang the amulet in their home, hoping that this fir tree, that this so-called life-giving force would protect them from the danger of the winter. And so their ceremonies developed around this. And this went on for hundreds of years. We also find in the ancient northern countries, and the Druids of the north, they carried out special ceremonies surrounding the mistletoe. And
so this is what I was telling you about. These Druids right here, this guy they're showing you, this is where Stonehenge at, this is where the faith come in at. These Druids dealt with faith.
Surrounding the fir tree. and the beliefs, and they would meet within circular areas. And they had a secretive cult that spread throughout the far northern countries. One of the interesting individuals, and you can look this up if you can find it in the dictionaries or encyclopedias, is a man called Mithra or Mithras. This is a very mysterious character. And when you look at history, you find that this individual called Mithra was born on December 25th. His day of the week was the 7th day of the week, that we still call Sunday. He was supposed to be the son of the sun god himself, and they had a special sacrament made up of bread and wine. They would make this drink during this time, and supposedly he died for the sins of the people. Sounds familiar?
Your brothers and sisters with disabilities.
Okay, any comments so far?
Did he say that Sunday was the 7th day of the week?
Yeah. That's what he said. They changed it. You know, that's expected. We know Saturday is the 7th day of the week, but because they want Sunday to be holy, they say Sunday is the 7th day.
Hey, Leonard, some YouTube teachers, Israelite teachers, teach that the Druids were Israelites.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's how crazy it is. They making America is our homeland, and the Indians is Israelites. Everybody Israelites. Just like they reading out of Joseph Smith book and all that. It's crazy. It's garbage, man. You know, sad to say, but you know, it ain't making no sense. And the only reason you can do all that is because you don't know who the Redeemer is and who the Lord of Hosts. Don't understand the Most High's heart. So, like I said before, it's no way on the sun that America is our homeland. When this is the place of our captivity. So, which one is it? Is we sitting here, we sitting here in captivity in America, so we know it can't be our homeland because we were driven out of our homeland. It's just like saying the Most High drove Adam out of the garden, but we're gonna put him back in the garden, but he didn't drove him out of the garden. He just told you he put him out of the garden. He can't be in the garden and out the garden. It's either one or the other. So Deuteronomy 28 tells us we were driven out of our land to a far country. So this can't be our homeland. It's crazy. And like I said, look at these Druids. We even know how the Druids look. And they was descendants of giants. They was 10, 12, 9, 10, 12 feet tall. Associated with Stonehenge.
But when you try to find Mithra or Mithras in the encyclopedias, they through state intervention, erase the name. Why is this? That is because after the time of Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, when the message began to spread, and they went north, and you see within historical writings that Barnabas, one of his disciples, met a man named Saul or Paul, later called himself Paul. Paul said he saw Jesus on the Damascus road. And he went to the disciples, but the disciples turned against Paul. Only Barnabas stayed with him. But when Paul and Barnabas went into Greece, Barnabas left him. Now, what is the reason why they all left him? What are the concepts coming through Paul? Many people say, well, they left him because he was Saul before, and he used to torture the early followers of Isa alayhi salam. But also you can see, and if you look at present-day Christianity, that most of the concepts of the Trinity, of the blood sacrifice, the original sin, and most of the concepts which relate to more than one God are coming through Paul. The preachers are quoting Paul sometime more than Jesus during their sermons. And so Barnabas left Paul. And somewhere in the early days, in Rome or Greece, somewhere in that area, those missionaries who were teaching the teachings of Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, met with this force coming from the north. And so you will see in ancient Roman history that in some cases the Roman emperor would go out to the Colosseum, and the gladiators would be fighting each other, and everybody's cheering for the gladiators. Sounds like one of our football games. They would go to the Colosseum, right? And the gladiators would fight. And then if one of the gladiators was down, and they would look at the emperor, should I kill him or not? And if he wanted to kill him, he would say, he would go like that.
Right, that sign down.
Right, that sign down. If he said keep him alive, he goes like this. You know how we use it today? Yes.
Okay. Gives that sign.
Gives that sign. Okay.
One of the terrible things happening during these
rituals at the Colosseum is that they would bring the Christians out, literally men, women, and children, and feed them to hungry animals. They would take a hyena or a wolf or a lion and get it hungry and crazy and beat it and throw raw meat at it and then send it out on the people. And they would literally cheer and watch as the animal ripped the bodies apart. This is a terrible culture. Tear the bodies apart. And so somewhere along the line, somebody who couldn't take the torture, who felt that maybe we can win these people over, made a compromise. And you start to see changes going on from the early part of the Christian era in Southern Europe, where the major ceremonies held by the nature-worshipping people are combined with Christian names and Christian ceremonies, and therefore what comes forth to us is a mixture with the two streams coming together, where you get a monotheistic name or a monotheistic character with a pagan ceremony. And so the mixture of this together is what is giving us the present day holidays that we see. Number one.
So yeah, I can't play all that. So yeah, so you want to watch all that? That's the hidden history of Christmas. So like I was saying before, based on what the brother telling you, which I already gave you all this information, it's on Prophets of Awakening. So we see, like I said, you can't get nothing good out of this once you understand what's really going on. Like I said, we done took the same concept right there of who Santa Claus is Mithras, and we know he's a Caucasian because he's in the North country. They were Caucasian, but now we got a black Santa Claus. So you take that understanding and go to JC. These same folks concocted him. Now he's black. Through Afrocentric that came on the scene back in the 80s and 90s, now he's black. You got a Yahushua, he a black Jesus. But the original character come from these abominable ass people right here. And from their mind. And we keep on trying to factor it into our understanding of Hebrew Israelite culture. And you're gonna forever be confused as long as you keep trying to do that. Okay. Any comments?
Wasn't it that news person, Megyn Kelly, who was saying that Jesus is white and Santa Claus is white? She was getting upset that everybody was trying to blackwash the Christ of the New Testament and Santa Claus.
Right. Yeah, that's that's a high power Karen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's wrong with them, because like when they started getting rid of all those Confederate soldiers and all those Confederate statues and all that, that's who they are. And that's where all this coming from. And like I said, they know the origins of Santa Claus. They know he's white. They know the origins of JC. He ain't black. Because they concocted him when the Europeans came on the scene. Like he said, that's why they moved the Vatican to Europe. They didn't want to have nothing to do with Africa and that area no more. So they moved the Vatican to Europe for a reason. because they concocted all that over there when they moved it over there. Everything that most of these Israelites dealing with today is European mindset. Ain't got nothing to do with us. But you can't tell them that. So let them ride that horse until the Most High knock them off. Okay. Yeah, so I got one more right here. This is, I don't know if anybody know anything about this, but I think it's disturbing. It's can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so what's going on is got 200 rappers that died since January. I'm gonna play some of it.
Duties of a rapper in this day and age is to become a positive role model in the minds and in the hearts of the children, because a lot of these kids don't have positive role models to look up to. In most neighborhoods, drug dealers are role model.
We're totally against black on black crime, I mean, it's so ridiculous in this day and time that our own brothers and sisters has got to pick up arms against one another. We're killing ourselves off, man. And this is a definite message to all the young people.
We strongly believe that violence is nonsense. We've got to get together as one. If you look around, you see a whole lot of different types of rappers here getting together to prove that everybody can get together.
It's time for people in the rap music industry to begin to address not only their image problem, but the real issues that are causing the problem. So we decided to start the Stop the Violence movement.
Okay.
I'll never say a
Been pretty good at chasing chickens that could put it on you. For my dogs, I'ma rap. For my dogs, I'ma slide.
So what they showing is they're showing you is all these good rappers, but I don't want to hear this. So anyway, what happened was 200 of them died. That was in 2020, and none of it was tied to what was going on with the pandemic. So what it is when you look at that, they're being sacrificed. So it's like the Most High. I mean, these Edomites back in the day was getting people and bringing them up and making them using them as and teaching them how all that goes and how to get money and all that. And now these affluent rappers, they turn around doing what they're doing, and that's where all this coming from. Blood sacrifices go all the way back to Mulak and all these gods that was in the Middle East. They required blood sacrifices. That's what you see transformation of R. Kelly. How he started out one way and he ended up being totally whacked out at the end, till he get locked up. And that's what's going on with that. It's getting worse and worse and worse. Yeah. So I just thought I'd shine light on that. I saw that, I was looking at that, and I was like, wow, 200 rappers in 1 year? Something's going on, but nobody paying no attention to it. Any comments? Okay. Let me play this right here. I was telling you about this, what Dr. Arcana got going on. And so it gets a little snippet of what they're doing. Every day that passes, our time running out.
Some members of the African diaspora have been known to kiss the ground the first time they set foot on the continent. Many consider a trip to the motherland a pilgrimage. But as was witnessed at the palace of the Garmanche on Friday, the emotions can hit the ceiling when descendants of formerly enslaved Africans return home and are conferred upon the title of honorary Ga. Global Outreach Director of the African Diaspora Development Institute, ADDI, Amira Ansar, was moved to uncontrollable tears after being conferred honorary Ga at the Ga Traditional Palace in Accra on Friday. Ansar was part of the delegation led by Dr. Arikana Chihumbori Kwao that paid a courtesy call on the ruler of the Ga Traditional area covering the capital of Ghana. Dr. Chihumbori Kwao made some few remarks.
Particularly for the descendants of the formerly enslaved who were in our team. It was totally emotional. This is what coming home is all about. And I'm so glad that the king made time to welcome us in such a grand way in his kingdom.
The ADDI delegation of almost 200 is on one of the most significant missions by any group to Ghana, a mission to put up the Wakanda One city with a jungle-like architectural design which will house the state-of-the-art hospitals, universities, and other projects.
Okay. Any comments? Anybody heard about that?
I had.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna open it up now for some Q&A. Anybody got any questions or comments about this morning or Friday or whatever? Anything they got any comments about? Some clarity they need or whatever? And we're going to the lesson after that. I want to share some stuff with you. Nobody have no questions? Okay. Okay, what I'm dealing with is dealing with I talked about, I don't even know if anybody know about George Soros, but he's an example. But what I'm going to show you, what I dealt with this morning about how this is a group of people, it's not one man, the Antichrist, but it's a group of people that's manipulating the world. And they've been manipulating the world ever since back in, like I said, 143 BCE when the yoke was broken off their neck. They've been manipulating the world, and they done hoarded up all the riches of the world, and they using that money to manipulate the scene, and they hoodwink our scriptures and all that. Same people. So here goes an example right here, and people can't believe that. It's people that had those capabilities in the world. So let me play this. This guy named, like I said, George Soros. You might want to do some research on him. Get a chance.
George Soros. Does that name ring a bell? I'm sure it does. If you take interest in global trends, popular culture, or geopolitics, you may have definitely come across this name. Let's put a face to it. This is the man we're talking about. He is George Soros, arguably one of the most controversial figures in the world.
Edomite.
With as many supporters as detractors, there are reports celebrating his philanthropy, also those questioning his ideas about the world. For some people, Soros is a legend, a financial guru, one of the most successful investors of all time.
So we saw another one this morning with Elon Musk. These are all Edomites. When Mosai says he's talking about this race of people. And they kind of make us think it's one man coming, the Antichrist.
Some believe he's a man of malicious influence, a billionaire who's able to move markets, someone who can sway politics and opinion. So who is the real Soros? And why is he such a polarizing figure? Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. Have you ever heard of Black Wednesday? It refers to an event in September 1992 when George Soros and a group of investors forced Britain to withdraw its pound from the European exchange.
I told you that Great Britain was the ninth beast. Then America became was the eighth beast. America became the ninth beast. We're witnessing these Edomites at work again, bringing about the 10th beast, which is China. Let's check this out.
Rate mechanism, ERM. In other words, they forced the pound out of existence. How is this done? Soros placed an enormous bet against the British pound. He said it would sink below the lowest currency exchange limit. More investors placed their bets assuming this would happen. Their actions put a lot of pressure on the pound. It sank further, ultimately pushing the United Kingdom out of the ERM.
So we're witnessing the same thing now. Pushing the dollar out. They behind it. Ain't nothing new under the sun.
All of these investors made money, up to $300 million, but Soros was the winner, earning $1.5 billion in just 1 month.
So the same thing getting ready to happen now. Man, like I was telling you, is cryptocurrency. They pushing the dollar out. What they're gonna bring in? Cryptocurrency.
The score earned him legendary status and boosted his firm's wealth to $7 billion. They started calling him the man who broke the Bank of England. Today they call him a master manipulator of the global order, an unregulated billionaire with a messiah complex. Some say he can bring down not just currencies, but entire systems. Some accusations are indeed far-fetched, but they say there's no smoke without fire. So even if these are exaggerations, what are they based on? Let's look at how much this man is worth. Soros is among the 10 richest hedge fund managers in the world with an estimated worth of $8.6 billion. Some say he's worth way more than this, given the suspiciously enormous sums of money he gives away for charitable causes. He's donated more than $32 billion to a foundation he runs, out of which $15 billion have been distributed in 37 countries. What is this money being used for? For education programs, health camps, human rights movements, justice reform, global governance, and quote-unquote, the furtherance of democracy. How is this done? Through the Open Society Foundation, a name inspired from a 1945 book, The Open Society and Its Enemies. This body is headquartered in New York and has active programs in more than 60 countries. This group gives major grants to organizations and parties that are aligned with its mission and objectives. Basically, anybody who seeks to shake up the status quo. In Israel, the only democracy in West Asia, the list of grantees of the OSF include a number of Israeli NGOs that deny the legitimacy of Israel. In Palestine, OSF funds NGOs like the Al-Haq and Palestinian Center for Human Rights, both of which are associated with the Popular Front, an outfit designated as a terrorist organization by the US, the EU, Canada, and Israel. What would you call George Soros then? A political activist? Why not? In September 2012, he donated $1 million to a political action committee led by Barack Obama. In 2016, he was the biggest donor to the Hillary Clinton campaign, giving almost $8 million. The move was met with a lot of criticism. He also donated £400,000 to anti-Brexit groups, opposing Britain's exit from the European Union, but favored Germany leaving the EU back in 2013. He's a man of convictions and contradictions. In June 2018, Hungary, which happens to be his native country, passed a law dedicated to this man. It's called the Stop Soros Law, aimed at ending OSF funding to organizations that support illegal entry of undocumented migrants. The OSF calls this law authoritarian. Hungary says it is only safeguarding national security. Now here's the thing, promoting and funding reform in a system is one thing, but undermining a nation's sovereignty by by influencing decisions is quite another. George Soros and the OSF seek to liberate the world from ideas they consider outdated and restraining. They want to change political realities that are not suitable to their principles. Take their activism in India, for example. In January 2020, Soros unveiled a plan to set up a $1 billion fund to build a global network of higher educational institutions. Institutions that will help students put up a resistance against growing nationalism. He singled out several countries and their leaders. India was one of them. He called India a Hindu nationalist state, which is suffering the biggest and most frightening setback.
The biggest and most frightening setback occurred in India, where the democratically elected Narendra Modi created a Hindu nationalist state.
This was last year. This year, a scandal hit India, the Pegasus Project. It suggested that the government of India was spying on its citizens. The report had a list of 300 odd Indians. Who was behind this project? 17 media organizations and 2 global entities, Amnesty International and Forbidden Stories. They're both beneficiaries of grants and funds from the Open Society Foundation.
So this guy right here is just one guy. I showed you Elon Musk this morning and now him. So you see, it's a group, it's a bunch of them, hundreds of them, Edomites. So it's a difference in case you didn't know, when you say Jew, when you say Zionist. This is what a Zionist is right here. This Elon Musk and this guy right here, Zionists. And they believe that they're gonna rule the world for 1,000 years from Jerusalem. And they're using all their money, putting all their funding and money and influence together to bring that about. That's what you're witnessing right now. This their own little end-time project they didn't concoct. Not
Don't
understanding.
forget Bill Gates.
Yeah, Bill Gates. They all It's like I said, the him. Just like when he called Israel him. There's a lot of Israelites. Just like when he say him, with these clowns and say it is the Antichrist, but it's a people. And they are the ones. This people like him, Elon Musk, and all them are controlling the 4 beasts. They're the ones behind the relocation and the transition of these 10 different locations that the 4 beasts have done. And we're witnessing the whole thing played out in front of us for the last one, 10th and final beast, China. That's where all the money coming from, China buying all this stuff out, which I'm going to show you in a minute, that's tied to the Road and Belt Initiative, which is reason why they causing all these ships to back up and clog up, because so they got a whole other system that they're going to divert these ships to. They got a collapse system first. So yeah. So that's what I just showed you was does George Soros manipulate the global order? It's the name of it. But you can just go Google his name and you want to get some more information on it.
Hey, well.
Okay.
Hey, like in their book, like in Revelation,
right.
like 1/3 of the ship, if I ain't mistaken, they wrote like 1/3 of their ship gonna be burned up. And you look at it right now today, the ships are just sitting out there in the water.
Right, exactly. Right.
It's like they just trying to they living the script out.
Right, exactly. Right, exactly. It's nothing they can. It's nothing they can. They got a plan they done concocted, but the Most High already prophesied long ago what was gonna happen, and we looking at it.
Right. And here's something else, Lena. They got a book out, The Secrets of John, and in that book, they talk about Christ in the garden, and that he admitted that it was him that caused Adam and Eve to eat of that tree, Lucifer himself.
Right. So he's saying that he's Lucifer.
Well, he we saying it was him. I mean, yeah. Me and Andre pulled it up, and he said it was him that caused Adam and Eve to eat of that fruit. He admitted it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. When you understand what the tree is him. That's why he says, don't talk to him, don't talk to it, and don't touch it. So it ain't no regular tree. So that's him.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And when you like Isaiah 14:12, Lucifer falling.
Right.
And then in their book in Revelation, I forgot what verse, but he said he's a bright morning star.
Right. Exactly.
And when you look up Lucifer in Latin, he's a morning star.
Right. Exactly. Right. And then they did all that by brainwashing us, but all of it's right there in your face. But we're not in the right side of mind to receive what's being said. Because we've been hoodwinked.
Right there in our face.
Right. Is there some? Anybody else?
Yeah, that book that Lamar is referring to is called the Gnostic Gospel, The Secrets of John. So basically, it's the revelation that Christ came back and gave to John the Revelator about all the secrets of God. Also, the book tends to detail how God gave up his power, not Michael.
Right.
Yahweh gave up his power to his subordinates, and then he became imprisoned. This is the mind of Christ now. So Christ have elevated himself above the Heavenly Father in this book.
Okay.
So just to give the folks a background on what the book is talking about and what is its basis.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
gonna check like the New Testament, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah. So let me give you this last part of what I was talking about. I mentioned this before, but this is a little more information you can get out of it. It's the Road and Belt Initiative. This the big kahuna, the elephant, the gorilla in the room that nobody dealing with.
Long time ago, a number of routes were etched on this planet, spanning 8,000 kilometers of land and sea. They became a vibrant pathway.
See that right there? That's where all the ships gonna end up in. See all these ports they've been building while we've been over here fumbling around. This is what they doing. All this is the Road and Belt Initiative right here. You notice this where its side is back over there. This is how the Most High, this is how the Lord of Hosts using them. They bringing all that back over here. He's already told us he's going to convert the Gentiles, force of the Gentiles back to us.
For trade, for sharing goods, people, ideas, and culture. It was called the Silk Road. In 2013, one man decided to revive it. He called it the Belt and Road Initiative. He saw it as his road to riches and legacy. He roved in several countries. Together, they account for 40% of the global GDP, 65% of the world's population, and 75% of the known energy reserves. They launched multiple projects, a highway in Pakistan, a new seaport in Sri Lanka, a forest city in Malaysia, a hydropower plant in Uganda, a motorway in Serbia, and these are just a few of the examples. As we speak, roads, railway lines, shipping routes, ports, oil refineries, industrial parks, and parks.
This all Edomite money, but they got Chinese face on it.
power plants are being built in at least 72 countries. It's a massive initiative, and yet the Belt and Road is fast turning into Belt and Road blocks. Xi Jinping's superhighway to world power is riddled with potholes. Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. It's time we discuss the Belt and Road Initiative and why it's failing. The BRI is the brainchild of the Chinese president. In China, it is called Yi De Yi Lu. For the sake of comprehension, we'll stick to the BRI. It's the most ambitious, extensive, and expensive project in the world. The estimated cost is said to be between $1 and $8 trillion. For perspective, only 16 countries in the world have a GDP above that figure. So how did the BRI begin? Which countries are a part of it? Is it just a plan for economic integration, or is it a tool to secure strategic goals? And most importantly, is it sustainable? The questions are complex. We'll keep the answers simple. In October 2013, Xi Jinping was giving a speech in Kazakhstan. He mentioned the ancient Silk Road and floated the idea of unifying global markets. 1 month later, he went to Indonesia and spoke about a maritime Silk Road. This is how he floated the idea of Belt and Road. The belt refers to the land routes, to this network of multiple economic pathways. The road refers to a maritime network, to these shipping lanes running from China through Southeast Asia, Africa, and all the way to Europe. The belt is made up of 6 corridors. They serve as routes to get things in and out of China. One of them runs from Jilin to St. Petersburg in Russia. The second from Shandong to Denmark. The third from Kazakhstan to Turkey. The fourth from Hainan to Malaysia. The fifth from Guangdong to Bangladesh. And the sixth corridor runs from Xinjiang straight through the buckle of this economic belt.
Okay, any comments so far? Any comments? Yeah, so like I was saying before, this was, you can see once this, when you see this, you can see this is what they doing to America, because they got to do this. All this, everything that's happening in America is going to be taken over there. That's all we're looking at. Like I said, you can train a baboon to do that.
The flagship project of BRI. This is the CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. It's where the economic belt meets the maritime road. It's a win-win deal for Beijing. This corridor means a strategic outlet to the Arabian Sea, a new alternative route for oil and gas through West Asia. For Islamabad, it means money and development. Pakistan, as you know, is not a popular choice for investments. China is exploiting this. It is building a vast network of highways, railways, and hydropower stations in Pakistan. The total cost of these projects is estimated to be $62 billion. That's nearly 1/4 of Pakistan's total GDP. But who is funding these projects?
Edomites.
They're being financed by heavily subsidized loans. Who gives these loans? Chinese banks. Who gets these loans? The government of Pakistan.
So let's look at that. She just asked the question. Who giving these loans? Well, I just told you, Edomites, they're international bankers. A banker is the one getting a loan. It ain't the Chinese.
Last we checked, these loans were worth $5.8 billion. They accounted for 5.3% of Pakistan's total foreign debt, had an interest rate of 2%, and a repayment period of 20 to 25 years. What happens if Pakistan fails to pay these loans on time? It will have to lease out the projects or ports to China, meaning China will control the projects. And this is where things get murky. You see, the BRI is not a gift. It is a debt trap, a means to lure developing nations into borrowing more than they can afford. Once they're buried under this debt, you enslave them by seizing strategic assets as collateral. It's already happening around the world. The Gwadar port in Pakistan has been leased to China for 40 years. The Obok military base in Djibouti has been leased for 10 years. Tajikistan had to cede more than 1,000 square kilometers of land for a petty loan. Laos had to let go of its entire national electric grid to
So once China, they got this face on it like it's Chinese and the Russians, but once they accomplish what they want, Edomites got a trick for them. And that's what Ezra was telling you. It's going to happen. Their head going to wake up. All of a sudden at the end, and eat up 2 heads on each side of it. It's China and Russia. like I said, they got the crown, the seat that left there a long time ago, or the British crown, saying that's Edomites. They're gonna take it back to Jerusalem, and they setting all this stuff up to try to rule the world from Jerusalem. Esau. They told the Most High that in Malachi.
A Chinese company. The Hambantota port in Sri Lanka has been leased to China for a period of 99 years. Same with the Malacca Gateway in Malaysia. In Chinese control for 99 years. That's the same amount of time, by the way, that the British leased Hong Kong for in 1898. Almost every BRI member nation is saddled with predatory Chinese loans. I have a report with me. It is by the Center for Global Development. It says 23 BRI member nations are at risk of significant debt distress. And out of them, 8 countries are at heavy risk. They can end up owing half of their foreign debt to China. Now look very carefully at these countries. This map tells you how the BRI has been a hit, where democracy is weak or has seen challenges. What's their excuse for sinking in Chinese debt? The promise of sparkling new infrastructure, but at what cost? These countries are caught in a vicious cycle of debt. They take loans to repay interest on previous loans. They're compromising on their sovereignty and making China richer. The biggest construction companies in the world are Chinese. They have been awarded $340 billion worth of contracts. The richest banks in the world are Chinese. The China Development Bank is involved in 400 projects in 37 countries worth $110 billion. The Industrial and Commercial Bank of China is involved in 212 projects worth $67 billion. There are new jobs for Chinese workers globally. How is this helping China's economy? Well, here's the twist. The BRI is expected to grow China's economy, China's GDP, by only 0.1% over the next 5 years. What does this tell you? That economy is just one piece of this puzzle. The second one is strategy. Through the BRI, China is also building at least 9 strategic ports. This is the string of pearls strategy. China is establishing naval bases, or as it likes to call them, sea pearls in the Indian Ocean and beyond. These bases would allow China to maintain contingents far from home, station warships, control shipping routes, dictate trade rules. It's not just an economic plan. It's a plan to dominate the world. The completion date of each project is 2049. That's 28 years from now. Why 2049? Because it marks the 100th anniversary of the People's Republic of China. The BRI's completion is meant to coincide with it. You know, the Communist Party of China has a thing for numbers and symbolism. Plus, it doesn't have to worry about elections every few years. Every time it plans forever. But this plan may not work forever. It is already crumbling, which brings us to the question, is the BRI sustainable? The short answer is no. China has given loans to countries which cannot repay, countries where the government is unstable or the security situation is precarious. Most of these countries are unreliable, as is China. The projects in these countries are running into trouble. Most CPEC work has been halted thanks to irregularities, scams, and terror attacks. In Bangladesh, the Padma Rail Link project is facing a funding crunch. In Nigeria, there's turmoil over the prospect of losing sovereignty to China. Lawmakers are demanding a probe into Beijing's lending practices. In Afghanistan, the national debt is mounting. Kabul has seen the pitfalls and said no to any further Chinese loans.
So you can see
growth is not a grant initiative. It's loans. Afghanistan cannot take loans. We can only take grants.
Then we have Europe. Countries like Romania, Lithuania, Slovenia, Croatia, and the Czech Republic either want to terminate BRI projects or have started blocking Chinese investments.
Right, so you see right here, like I said, Esau behind all this. And they're going to use these loans and they skills as bankers to collapse everything around them. And they're gonna be looking to be, their plan is to be the last one standing and rule the world from there. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. Any comments?
Hey, well,
okay.
Yeah, I think all this virus and all that is just a decoy.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, it's a decoy.
Yeah, America getting ready for war. And you know, when China told their people to stock up, that to me that's war.
Right.
And you know, America is thinking they ain't gonna have no choice. These Illuminati bankers is to force them that they gotta, the war gotta happen. And you know, it's gonna be against China and Russia and all their allies. Yeah.
Right. Exactly right. That's what we witnessing. Esau, like I said, they super sharp, and they got everybody thinking that they don't even exist, and everybody looking at all these events that's happening on the world stage, thinking that, you know, trying to tie it to the New Testament when, you know, ain't got nothing to do with that. He already told you who's who in the Old Testament. He told you what Esau was going to do and everything else. So this what we witnessing. These diabolical people. These Esau that emerged with Japhet, and that's what the third and the fourth beast is. Gentiles. Time of the Gentiles.
Yeah, and look at all these weapons Russia and China that came up with that
Exactly.
the United States ain't got no defense against it.
Right, they have no defense against them. And the thing about it is, they're getting all their military technology from Israel. The weapons and all Israel is the #1 weapons provider in the whole world. Yeah.
Maybe that's how he's gonna bring the 1/3 through the fire. I don't know.
Oh yeah. It's gonna. Oh yeah. First of all, they're going to have to do what we did. They have to go back and start all over again in Genesis. Anybody else got anything else before we go? Any comments or questions about anything we talked about?
Hey, Leonard, I was just going to add to your conversation and Lamar's conversation. Also, don't forget about the troop removal from Afghanistan, and before that, the ones they brought home from Iraq. So U.S. knows something is coming because they're trying to pull the troops back to position them in their best, you know, for wherever they're expecting to come.
Yeah, right. They trying to circle wagons.
Right.
Right. Exactly. Is there something? And like I said before, it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So now is the time to be getting, you know, getting situated and getting all your ducks in a row, because it's gonna happen. Just like when Britain fell, that was all planned. When Britain fell and America rose up, it was all planned. Scripture tell you that.
Right, and then you got all these people who are cashing in their stocks and jumping out of the market. So something is coming. Something's on the horizon.
Right, exactly. You get something? Yeah. So, with that being said, I'm gonna see everybody on Tuesday night. Well, I see the guys on Tuesday night, and then we all come back together again on Wednesday night. So, with that being said, I want to say shalom, everybody, and I hope you have a good rest of your Sabbath day and the next couple days. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Okay.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom, everyone.